Hey everybody! Alright, welcome to Boyington Bites. This is our haunted virtual tour. So, we are at the Church Street Graveyard. I'm going to let people jump on, and we've had a lot of people interested, so I'm going to hang out here for a minute and let people make their way. All right, like I said, here we are at the Church Street Graveyard. It is time for our haunted tour, and it's open. All right, we're gonna wait a few minutes and let some people join us. Y'all, this graveyard closes at 3 o'clock, but it's open. So, hope everyone's having a happy quarantine and staying healthy. We really miss giving tours with everything going on. It's just not feasible. Our restaurants are closed. A lot of them are. A lot of them are still open, guys, and I'd love for you to support them. Go grab some takeout, make things a little easier. I know I have been cooking like a million meals, so I love when I can run through and grab some takeout and make things easier and support local. So there are a lot of places that are still open. If you follow us on Instagram and Facebook, we try to share those. Also, Visit Mobile does a great job of keeping everyone in the know of the places, the restaurants that are open. Again, for those of just joining us, welcome. This is the virtual haunted tour. We are here at the Church Street Graveyard. All right, so just to give you a little bit of background about who we are Boyington Bites Food Tour. With everything going on, of course, I think it's pretty obvious that we are not able to give tours at this time. So we are really just trying to stay connected to Mobile and stay connected to just giving people connections to Mobile. So we came up with this of a good way to just show people around the city and just do some things that we do on our normal tours. During the months of September and October, we have haunted tours, and they're a huge hit with the locals and tourists. And so we decided we would jump on here this evening and just give you a little bit of haunted Mobile history. So here we are at the Church Street Graveyard. And we'll go ahead and get started in just a minute. But like I said, we're Boyington Bites Food Tour. When things are normal, we give walking food tours through the downtown area. We stop at restaurants all throughout downtown Mobile and give people the best food that Mobile has to offer. We really have a very great food scene here in our city, something to definitely be proud of. And so we like to show people what we have here going on. So anyway, and we also love to, during that time on the food tour, we love to take people to historical landmarks and just show the people our city, that show guests our city through stories. So anyway, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. Here we are. This is the Church Street Graveyard. I'm going to go ahead and turn this around for you. You can see here it is. You see beautiful architecture here. Now, this graveyard was opened in 1820. Now, Mobile officially became a city in 1819. Y'all, and I've already told people, I cannot believe this graveyard is open. Okay, this is always closed. It closes at 3 o'clock. So, anyway, we're going to go in. So, anyway, like I said, this graveyard was opened in 1820. Now, Mobile officially became a city in 1819. Now, not only did Mobile become a city in 1819, but it also became a graveyard for people dying with the yellow fever. I think we can all relate to a pandemic. Yellow fever was a pandemic, to say the least. It was killing people all over Mobile. In fact, it killed over 20% of Mobile's population. So before the city was even able to finalize negotiations of getting this property settled, they had to start burying people here before they could even finalize the property here. Okay, so you can imagine yellow fever, pandemic, people dying, and they were having to use this space here before they even finalized. So city officials finalized 1820. This became the Church Street graveyard. This graveyard was completely full by the 1830s. Most of the people here will probably had a lot to do with the yellow fever epidemic. And after it was full, Mobile had to develop the Magnolia Cemetery in 1836 and then the Catholic Cemetery in 1848. All right, so I am showing you the Church Street graveyard here if you're just joining us. All right, now so you'll see there are a lot of, especially over here in this area, these are the raised tombs, okay? And those make this cemetery very unique. They represent the French and Spanish customs. Over here you'll see these, they're raised up. They also represent the high water table, that is found in downtown Mobile. You see a lot of the architecture here, a lot of the brickwork, a lot of the headstones are very unique, very, very old. Like I said, this cemetery was opened in 1819. All right, so originally the cemetery was divided into 3 sections. A third of the cemetery was reserved for Catholics, a third for Protestants, and then a third was for the strangers. Now, who are the strangers? The strangers were the Masons, the Odd Fellows, veterans, and the indigent. So we have yellow fever, people who have died from the yellow fever. We have Catholics, we have Protestants, we have the strangers. Also, there are a lot of men and women who range from, there was one man here is of French descent who escaped the reign of Napoleon. We have British Mobilians. We have a Spanish government official here buried in the Church Street graveyard. We have Revolutionary War soldiers, the War of 1812 heroes, and our founder of modern day Mardi Gras is also buried here, Joe Kane. We'll walk over here and see his grave. This is called the Poets' Corner. They were buried here after the cemetery was closed. They had to have, you'll see, you know exactly which one it is. Here's his grave. If you are from Mobile or know anything about Mobile, you know that the Merry Widows visit here every Joe Kane day during Mardi Gras. So this is the Poets' Corner here. Also, Eugene Walter, very famous Mobilian. Like I said, these people were buried here after the cemetery closed in 1898. So they had to have special permission to be buried here. All right, so I'm going to give you one more look around the cemetery. Now, you'll see that there are beautiful live oaks here. There are magnolia trees. There's a brick wall you'll see that goes all the way around the entire cemetery. It goes all the way. You can see it over here as well, enclosing the entire cemetery here. Now, these tombs and the trees and just everything about this cemetery, it really, really tells the history of Mobile here at the Church Street graveyard. But y'all, there is one story that I want to tell you this evening that even the graveyard cannot contain. We're going to walk around the corner and I'm going to show you where we're going to end up. We're going to be over here on the other side, outside of the wall. And on the way, I'm going to tell you the story of Charles Boynton. And I'm going to let you see a little bit of scenery because it is pretty crazy how desolate Mobile is. But anyway, we are leaving the Church Street graveyard. If you're just joining us, we are on Bienville Bites virtual haunted tour. We wanted to get on here and give you a little guys talk about the haunted side of Mobile. So like I said, we are going to walk the streets here, and I'm going to give you the story of Charles Boynton as we're walking. I'm trying not to be to make you too crazy and dizzy with my camera skills. Doing the best. All right, so I'm gonna turn around, let you see a little bit of Mobile. We are approaching Government Street here. Here to my left, we have the Distinguished Young Women Headquarters. You can see that there, the Quigley House. And if you want to take a minute to look up the Quigley House, there is another haunted story about that house. All right, so Charles Boynton. We're headed over to the final resting place of Charles Boynton. Okay, so he came down to Mobile rather. It was the early 1800s, to be exact. It was 1830s, and he came from Connecticut. He wanted to come to Mobile because Mobile was booming because of the cotton industry here in Mobile, which made Mobile very wealthy. So he came here and lived in a boarding house with a gentleman by the name of Nathaniel Frost. Now, he and Nathaniel Frost became quick friends, and they did a lot of things together. One thing they would always do, I'm gonna stop here for a second so I can tell this story before we walk up to his final resting place. One thing they would always do would be to go to the societal parties and things. They wanted to fit in maybe, but I would probably think that they were probably causing trouble because he was a gambler. Now, at one of these parties, he met a lady by the name of Rose DeFleur. Now, Rose caught his attention and they immediately fell in love. Now, you have to know, Rose was very different. She came from a very different walk of life. She was very wealthy, and you know who did not approve of this? Her dad. Her dad did not approve of this relationship. So he immediately started trying to put an end to it. But that didn't stop their relationship. They were hot and heavy. They were inseparable and could not stop spending time with one another. Charles would sit around and write poetry about Rose all day, so much so that it cost him his job. So, and don't forget now, he is still friends with Nathaniel Frost. So, like I told you, he was a gambler, and I'm sure he probably got into trouble with his gambling habits. And so, one day, it was May 10th, 1834, he and Nathaniel Frost went for a walk. And on their walk, they were seen close to where we are right now, on Government, close to the Church Street graveyard. And on this walk, a lot of people saw them. Later on, these were eyewitnesses. They saw them, because you know trouble's brewing in the story I'm telling you. So a lot of people saw them walking down the street. And Charles arrived back home around 3:30 without Nathaniel. And so his friends and other people in the boarding house asked him where, and I will quote, his quote was, somewhere. They asked him where Nathaniel was. He said, somewhere. I'm in a hurry and I cannot wait for him. So a lot of people speculate that Charles was headed out of town because he got in trouble with gambling. And a lot of people speculate for a totally different reason that you're about to find out. But no matter what the reason was, Charles went to a general store in downtown Mobile. He grabbed a pair of pistols and a dagger and a few other items. Now, not sure why he bought these items, but he boarded the James Monroe headed straight for Montgomery. Okay, so we're gonna keep walking down. I told you, if you have jumped on, we are headed down. This is Bayou Street, and we're headed to the final resting place of Charles Boynton. Now, I've left out a little bit of the story here. So, Nathaniel Frost is dead. They have found him now the next day. The sun came up the next day. Charles Boynton is on the James Monroe, and locals were awakened to see the body of Nathaniel Frost hanging from a tree. He was covered in gashes and blood. Imagine that scene. You woke up in your city. Mobilians were stunned. The papers declared a murder and a $500 reward. All right, so we're almost here, but before we get there, I want to tell you a little bit more about him. So you can only imagine that Boynton was the obvious suspect. I mean, he was pretty much, all the signs pointed straight to him. He was spotted in the local general store buying murder weapons. So what happened from here? Officials jumped on horseback. They raced to find him on the river, on the James Monroe steamship. They got him, they found him. He was in a room playing cards. They arrested him immediately and brought him back to Mobile. I'm sure kicking and screaming, they drug him back. People were screaming, murder him, hang him, hang him. They all wanted him dead. So he was given a trial. The trial found him guilty. Now, his sentence was to be hanged on a tree. So we are here close to the area where he was hung, and I would like to introduce to you Charles Boynton.
Dear friends, the innocent man will now address you. I tell you with an open heart that I'm innocent of the crime that I'm accused. I won't keep you long, but I want to tell you that the pain I'm suffering is unjust. Yes, I am the man accused of murder, Nathaniel Frost. Emotion makes my lips tremble as I address you now. Who would kill a sick man and leave him for dead, steal his money? Surely not I. Nathaniel and I were friends. We often read together, conversed, had long walks and talks together. I too was just as upset to hear the news of his death as you all were. Sure, yes, I left town on a boat to Connecticut. I was desperate to see my family, who I missed dearly. So I boarded the first boat I could find out of Mobile, heading north. My life has been an almost constant scene of adventure since. My heart hurts for Nathaniel, and I long to be with my love Rose. I'm innocent. I am innocent. But what can I do? When I'm buried, an oak tree with 100 roots will grow out of my grave to prove my innocence.
Okay, friends, so you heard the account of Charles Boynton. And this is the resting place of Charles Boynton. And if you didn't hear him, he just said that an oak tree would grow from his grave. So he was hanged, buried. Now, not only was he buried once, some people speculate he was buried inside the walls of the Church Street graveyard, which is right on the other side of that brick wall. Some people say this was that he was buried in the area here. No matter what is true there, they removed his body from his original spot and relocated it. An oak tree grew in the original spot, and an oak tree grew in the another spot as well. So he was true. He was right. Wherever they buried him, an oak tree always grew from the ground. So that, my friends, is the story of the Church Street Graveyard, a little history of that, and also a pretty interesting story of Charles, Boynton, and Rose. So this oak tree here, this is the symbol of Charles Boynton and his innocence. And like I said, just a minute, we were over here. This is the Church Street Graveyard, right on the other side of that brick wall there. Now, some of you may have known that story, and some of you that may have been a brand new story. Either way, you're going to look at oak trees a little different now because they're all over Mobile. You never know who might be buried underneath. So, that concludes our virtual history tour. I hope that you enjoyed hearing a few stories about Mobile's haunted history. Some people that were or are buried in the Church Street Graveyard. I've enjoyed being on here and just sharing a little bit of Mobile with you while times are so strange. So anyway, like I said, this concludes our tour. It was great being here with you all, and we will answer any questions that you may have. So please drop them in the comments, and we will respond to those when we check those questions out. So anyway, thanks. We're Bienville Bites Food Tour, and this concludes our virtual haunted tour. Y'all, please check back. We are constantly coming up with ideas of where to take you next through Facebook Live. If you have somewhere that you would like to go, a story you've always wondered about, please let us know, and we will be happy to make that happen. So again, leave us questions. Support local, go check out some local restaurants that are doing curbside, and we cannot wait to be back giving tours when things get back. See, this is a haunted tour. You see that bug on my head? Got me. So anyway, we will see you soon, and thank you.